I always thought about harming myself.
I'm shy. I struggled with making friends.
I never thought I could do anything. I have extremely low self esteem.
Lately, I've been eating my pain away. Just throw it back up. I've been struggling to lose weight. Somebody said I don't fit in just because I wear my hair the way I like it.
1 out of 5 American girls suffer from mental health problems. Don't be that girl. Talk to someone.
Those thoughts I had are long gone, for I have a future I need to get to.
In order to get better, I had to do better. I learned how to make friends.
I believe in myself. That's when everyone else did, I set an example.
Instead of me eating everything, I started watching my calories. The weight is falling off. I wanted to change my hair, but I decided it was for me. It's for me.
A PSA from the Curvy Girl Project.
And good morning and welcome to Expose Under the Sun, sponsored by the Detroit Native Sun newspaper. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and we've got a very informative and power-packed half an hour with you today. I've got a special guest that's going to be on the show with us today, and his name is Mr. Ishmael Terry for an organization called All for One. And he is going to come on and he's going to talk about what most of you are being inundated with a lot of commercials regarding about this upcoming election on November the 5th. As we know, today is Tuesday, the 29th of October, and there is 1 week left in this election presidential for 2024. And we know the two people that are vying for your support for the presidential election, and one happens to be the Democratic candidate, who happens to be Vice President Kamala Harris. And the other contender for your support for the presidential the trophy that will probably be the award to be the president for the next 4 years in the White House, in that Oval Office, is former President Donald Trump. And both are vying to be either history making when it comes down to Vice President Harris, looking for your support to be the first African American female to be congratulated and inaugurated to be the 47th president of the United States. And former President Donald Trump is vying to repeat the process of being the 47th, and he was the 45th president of these United States. So we've got a lot to talk about, but before I'm going to bring my guest on, and his name is Mr. Ishmael Terry. Ishmael, welcome to Expose Under the Sun today.
Thank you for the invite. Thank you.
All right, let me make this first announcement real quick, and then I will get to our conversation, Ishmael. But
Okay.
On November the 9th, that's next Saturday, from 12 o'clock until about 2:30, at the Athenaeum Suite Hotel, the Hannon Center is having their awards brunch, and that's going to be 70 over 70. And they will be having a brunch. They've got 7 categories And the 7 categories go into different unsung hero, entrepreneur of the year, a lot of different categories. They've got 10 nominees for each of those categories. And I am very, very honored that I was recognized and was nominated by Cassie Jones McBride for one of those categories for Entrepreneur of the Year. So again, I am looking forward to this awards brunch, and also with my other fellow nominees for these awards. The tickets are still on sale. So if you would like to go and you'd like to join me and join Mary Jones, Linda Allen, and a number of other people that are being recognized for their contributions in the community, you can go and you can contact the Hannon Center, and they can give you more details about acquiring tickets. So again, that's going to be on Saturday, November the 9th at 12 o'clock. And our own Roop Raj from TV2 will be, Fox News, will be one of the hosts of that program. And then also, just real quick, if you like some good music and like a good chorale to be singing, you won't want to miss the Brazil Denard Chorale that will also be performing at this event as well. So it should be a star-packed couple hours, and there's going to be a lot of people that will be recognized for the many activities and the many contributions that they're making in their community. Okay, we have special guest Ishmael Terry from All for One on the show with us today. Ishmael, just real quick, we've got a week left to this presidential vote, to be able to vote in person. As we know, Ishmael, people have been voting absentee for about the last several weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We know for the last couple of days, in some communities, people have been voting, early voting, and we know that people have on November the 5th to vote in person. What's your thoughts? What are you seeing in terms of, say, with the people that are, have voted, people that are voting now, and people that will vote? What's your, I don't want to say predictions because I don't want to get you in trouble, but what are your thoughts about everything?
I mean, right now, we're 250,000 expectation of voters supposed to be getting out early. Right now, we're a little bit under that. We're only at 125,000, and let other pundits tell you where. And this is only in Detroit that number is decreasing. In other counties that are now open for early voting, their numbers are still stable. They're roughly about 52% of early voters are turning in their votes, being absentees, as well as early voting at voting centers. So I would say that Jocelyn Benson and the rest of her staff, Hester Wheeler and all of them, have done a yeoman's job of trying to get participation in this election. I believe that we do have some challenges ahead. Being that I am a Michigander and a Democratic Party member for the last 34 years, and I would say that in speaking to a lot of people, not just black men versus black women, speaking to people in general, you're going to have at least about a 34% non-participation.
So you say you think about 34% of the registered voters will not participate in this election process? Correct.
And most of the conversation is about, well, my vote, of course, the traditional, my vote doesn't count, Mr. Terry. Or, they're going to do what they're going to want to do anyway. And so because of that, you're going to see a shift in Michigan, where we see in the pollings early are leaning towards Trump at 1.2%. That's going on now. And so, I think that's why that Michigan, along with Pennsylvania, is the key factor on who's going to win the presidency. Now, Trump is winning, like I said again, 1.2% right now in the poll here in Michigan. And he leads in the polls in Pennsylvania. You know, whatever you got in the tank now, Harris and Wall, you better shoot for the stars. I think that's the only way that this is going to mount in her favor. This closing remarks that she's about to give has better be more charisma and more vitality in it than the the talking points that's normally happening. I think that she's lost the black vote by 4% because of the talking points.
What talking points, Ismail, do you feel that she needs, in your opinion, to address tomorrow or when she does her closing remarks in D.C.?
Yeah, I think that she needs to give a more clear communication about real economics, right? Not the $6,000, not the $25,000, none of that. She needs to talk about real regulations on top of corporations, making sure that they bring down the real pricing of employment. And I mean by employment, I mean by trivial wages versus the wages that they give to everyday Americans, right? So you need to look at those. She needs to talk about those topics. She needs to also look back and talk about the tariff. I think she needs to talk about that. I really think that she needs to say that, where they're saying that tariffs work under Trump, she needs to say, yeah, we utilized it. We're going to utilize tariff as a means to make sure that overseas companies doesn't get their hands on American-made material. And so if she's not saying none of those things, if she goes back to my middle class, and my mother lived in a middle class community, worked at this job, that job, and got us a home, and then moved me to, well, she won't say that, but moved me to Canada to get my education. That doesn't resonate with everyday Americans who are living check to check, one check away from being in already a reduction in the food line, right? Talk about those things. If you're going to talk about groceries, let's not talk about trying to get price guides. Let's talk about the ideal that, we're going to put more money into agriculture to be able to farm our own food, and not put extreme pesticides and other things that goes into our food that giving us high, in the black community, high numbers of 17% of diabetes, right? That we're going to fight against sugar companies like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. And we're going to make them realize that we all don't have ADHD and all of those other harmful plights that's placed into black communities, right? So if she started talking like that on her finishing touch, I will believe that the black people then will say, you are talking our language, right? But if she comes back with the salad talks again, it's a done deal.
What do you call it? What do you call it? The salad talks.
The salad talk. Like it's just all salad, just layer on layer on layer on layer on layer on layer of the same talking point. Like, stop talking that. Whoever is writing her campaign language, they need to be fired. They need to be fired.
Well,
And,
but I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, the
No,
thing I
I'm-
was just going to say was that here, the conversations that I've been having with people, on the shows that I host over here at WHPR, is that there's a lot of information that's being disseminated out by media directors, by communications directors, by even other people that are going around the country, to help her in her campaign. And from, Cory Booker, LaFonza Butler, and others, they pretty much are trying to resonate the message, that you and I talked about yesterday, is that
Right.
a lot of people want to get out and vote. People
Yeah.
are not really inclined to want to stay home, but they want to hear more from Harris about what solutions she will bring.
Correct.
And whereas the argument from the Harris campaign is that the Trump campaign is steady telling issues, but not giving viable solutions. And that's one of the
But see-
things that Harris is
But see, the
saying.
bigger problem in this is this. You remember that old saying goes, you ain't got nothing good to say about somebody, don't say nothing at them?
Yeah, I've heard it before.
Okay. So when you talk about Trump, you giving Trump air, right? How you defeat someone like that is you don't give them no language. And you just talk about the issue, just like you just said. She spends about 30% to 60% of her speeches on Trump and how he's a fascist, now he's Hitler, now he's that, he's this, he's that, he's that. I don't want to hear that number. And I think that's what the American people is leaning toward. That's why the numbers are increasingly going back to Trump, because you're not discussing what policies are. You're not discussing how and what happened to the immigration problem that took place here in the United States. You're not talking about the sanctuary cities that's happening in predominantly black communities, where you're putting in more and more migrants, 9 million migrants that you already collected here in the United States. You're not talking about how you're going to rectify that problem, right? Once you get out of those other talking points about Trump, because once you lose the audience as she's shown, and I hope that she can gain it back when she goes back out there before November 5th, is to talk more about the growing issues. This is what my presidency is going to, when I say I'm not going to go back, I'm not going to go back to the infrastructure policy that we placed. We're not going to do that. We're going to scrap that, and we're going to bring in comprehensive people who deals with the finances. We're going to bring in people who deal with social impact. We're going to deal with people who deal with housing, agriculture, energy, and we're going to bring those kind of smart people in who are smarter than me. And we're going to work together to build a dynamic American way. If she talks like that, that resonates to people, because then that's talking about improving minimum wage, but not to the point where it's going to cause an inflation. Where it's talking about minimum wage, where it's not going to talk about the prevailing wages, and not have corporations then go to audio systems where then you have AI and all of them taking people's jobs, decreasing the workload, right? So if she's talking like that, then I believe she will win. But so far, it's the wee hour of the morning, my friend, and she ain't talking like that. What she's talking like is what we just said, what you just said a second ago. Well, Trump is this. Trump is the hell with Trump. We already know what Trump is. We don't need to reiterate what Trump is. Let's reiterate what we can do to change the narrative and the talking points that fit what the American personnel need. If we can't talk like that, why are we running for president? Why didn't we just implement the 25th Amendment? If that was the case, that we were going a new direction, why didn't we implement the 25th Amendment on Joe Biden during the time period when we knew he was incapacitated? Why we didn't do that? So then we could have opened up the door, the platform to allow other people to stand in there so we could choose who we wanted to be in this race. We didn't do that. What we did was, once Biden got off television, off the View, and said, I still have some fight left in me, we let him be, which only gave us an opportunity for 3 months to pick somebody. You hear what I said? We, the Democratic Party, picked somebody to represent us, not giving them voice and opportunity to be heard from other people that might have some more viable it factor that we need to be president of the United States.
Well, let
So
me
this
let me ask you this, Ishmael. So now we know that we've got a week left, and we've just heard the Ishmael Terry playbook that probably to resonate, as you were saying, with a lot of maybe undecided voters.
Correct.
Or indecisive voters, in this last home stretch of the election. The thing is that it from what you were saying when I was listening to you, it almost reminded me of like a sporting event where, let's say, for example, you're a basketball player, you know the game of basketball quite well, and you know that you have to have a good defense and you have to have a good offense. Correct. But it's sometimes a little difficult to win when you're just playing defense. You still have to put some points up on the board, And Agreed. From what it sounds like you're saying, that just like even in some of the debates, even that debate that people thought that Biden didn't do as well in because he was playing more defense and listening to some of the talking points that Trump was giving. And instead of him being able to impart his own talking points, he was more so refuting some of the talking points that Trump gave. And
that's what I'm saying.
And that's the thing that really is the part that's really hurt some of these candidates, because they're going as much on the defense to deflect against things that people are saying about them, deflect against and encourage the things that people are not knowing about them, about their own candidacy. But the opponent is not able to go and impart knowledge about what he or she wants to do if they get elected. So your points, I heard what you were saying, because I think that there's a lot of black men and black women that are really, I think that there's a lot that have decided, and from what I've talked to people that are at these early voting, polling places, they're saying they see a lot of people coming in. But I was talking to some people downtown at Huntington, and, that are there to count, some of the ballots, there at Huntington. And they're seeing an uptick as well, from people from years past. But I think that the results are probably not going to really, I don't think an election or a person is going to be decided upon who wins the presidency until sometime late in the morning or afternoon on November the 6th.
Yeah, it's going to be like it normally is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Look, I've ran many elections. I even ran my own, right? And I will tell you, the hardest part in an election is the wait, right? Because when the poll numbers do come in, it'll say, let's do 2001. I think that's Bush Jr. and Al Gore. Remember that, Ray?
Yep.
Where Al looking like he winning. He got the numbers. This is after the Clintons. So he got the numbers, both he got the popular vote, he got the ground vote, but he lost the electoral votes by 6%. In his mind, he won. In the American politics, he won. But because the electoral votes was counted later than should have been counted on that day, he lost by 6 points. That's the describing point, and that's what I'm saying about now. We're acting like a foregone conclusion has just arrived, right? Like we don't know that you're going to have to wait till the next day or even the day after.
Well, you know, Ishmael, because we only got a minute left.
Yeah, I know.
But the question is that you've given some valid points about what you think that the Harris-Walz campaign needs to do in these closing days.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that there needs to be a lot more of the messaging as opposed to just saying that Trump is this or Trump is that. But I think that people that are on the fence just need to make that determination. Hey, do they want this type of presidency or that type of presidency?
Yeah,
we have 30 seconds left. Go ahead.
Okay, I voted for the party.
Okay.
Let me be truly honest. I voted for the Michigan Democratic Party. I voted for the Democratic Party. I did not vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I voted for the party because the party is losing the message. The party is losing the identity. And that if people like myself and yourself and others who have these kind of conversations are in the mix of all of this structure for the party,
okay,
I think then the Democratic Party will resurface again.
Okay, we got to close out. We're hoping in terms to say that everyone that gets an opportunity to see the show, make certain that they do get out and vote and voice their opinion. Ishmael Terry from All for One, thank you for being on Expose Under the Sun, sponsored by the Detroit Native Sun newspaper. If you'd like to get a copy of the Detroit Native Sun newspaper, you can contact Ms. Valerie Lockhart at area code 313-594-5944. And again, we look forward to you seeing how this election is going to shape out. Have a great rest of the day.
Here at the Full and Fabulous Curvy Girl Project, we don't just focus on health, beauty, and self-esteem. We also offer an amazing summer program for young ladies ages 12 to 18. For more information, visit our website at fullandfabulous.org. See you soon.